And to me, what that makes people be is accountable.
Right.
To the people.
Exactly.
Which is how it's supposed to be. Not the people accountable to one man or to one woman or to certain elected officials. You represent the people.
Exactly.
And in our community, that's still intact. You call it cancel. You call it we don't mess with them. It's what it is. You represent our interests, or it'd be best for you to move it along.
Right. For real.
Respectfully.
Right.
Move it along, or we'll move you along.
Right.
It's still intact. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I said a whole lot, and I'm going to get out the way and let you just shoot all up.
Okay. Well, starting with, different initiatives partnering within the community, you had touched on last summer with the power outages. You know, you had Robert with Project Nose. And just so happened, I was at home like, man, I live out west. I had my power and all of that. Was blessed to still have that. But I was still thinking about my family, my family and my community in North Omaha. It was so many that was without power. And so I put on Facebook, like, man, we got to do something right now.
Right.
Like right now. And so I put it out there. I mean, we gotta, feed our people. We gotta do this. And then on this end of town, Robert was thinking the same thing.
Right.
And then I reached out to Robert and I was like, bro, let's do this together. He like, say less. Like it was a no-brainer.
And it was on Hamilton too, right? The next day or
let's see, our first day was
Matoya's.
at we did it at Fontenelle Park, and then the next day we did it at the Matoya event center at the gym to offer AC.
Yeah.
And then we did it at Benson Park.
Yeah, it moved around.
And then we went to the Bryant Center.
Yeah.
And then after that, most of everyone was on.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, and it was like
so you were involved in that too.
Yes.
Okay.
And so we got together. So it was myself, Robert, and Sherman with Untamed.
Sherman ain't playing.
Yeah.
Sherman
and so we had got together, and I mean, it was effortlessly. And then you had, all the different grill masters in the city. They brought they big, like Velli had reached out to me for Fontenelle Park. Because Robert was like, man, how we about to grill this food? I got a little bitty grill. And I'm like, hey, we're going to make it happen. And people, the community started seeing what we were doing. And so they started, messaging us, hey, I got this, I got that. I can bring this, bring
DJ
that.
DJ showed up.
Yeah. And so it was like we all moved collectively to feed our community. And then you had some people in the community that were on special diets. You had some diabetics. And so we were mindful of them. And I'm calling them out. Hey, y'all come out. We got something for y'all too, And so we fed them real meals.
For real.
You had Cooking Cam out there. You had Smoking Doja. You had Velli, out there with the grills. And then we had, our little small grills. And Sherman, had his grill. Yep. And we all just, got together, me and Jobina making sides at the house, and bringing sides down. Other people bringing stuff down. We bringing stuff for the kids.
Jobina be working.
Yeah. And she can cook her butt off, can't she?
For real.
And so
she be here cooking sometimes.
Yeah. And then you had Island Chill, had the popsicles and the slushies for the kids, so it was really a community movement that didn't take much just for us to hit the ground and run with it.
In this line of talk right here, and you may not even see it this way, and if so, just keep going and just say skip and keep going. Is there some more you want to see from us brothers in times like that? Are we representing right? Anything like, are we representing?
I would say yes.
All right, good.
Yeah, I would say the brothers are representing. I would say that just as a whole, there are some things sometimes you don't see eye to eye.
Right.
With certain individuals. That's just us as humans.
Right.
But when we're out here doing this work, we should be able to put our differences to the side and be able to work together, collectively.
Are we doing enough? Like, when y'all having some, are we touching down? Are we pulling up, popping the trunk, dropping off? Are we doing what we need to do?
Yeah.
All right, good.
And I'm seeing a lot of that. Like,
good.
Like even with the motorcycle clubs, like they've been like hands on. Hey, what y'all need? And just good. Like, it's when you see a movement happening and it's something you're not used to, people gravitate towards that.
Synergy.
And so people that you would never think would be a part of community work or, volunteering, they're like, hey, what y'all need? And then you have those that, they come in and help you out with what you need and then they gone.
Right.
Like, I'm going to speak on Red and Kenyatta Jefferson.
Right.
Best Yet Entertainment.
Right.
They down at the 2 every Tuesday and on the weekends, having parties and got the party bus.
Right.
But if we need something for our community and for our youth,
right.
Red and Yada is right there, what
wow.
y'all need. And they'll come out and volunteer and be hands-on. But for the most part, they're moving parts in the background and helping us, financially.
Right.
Or, they do like the Thursdays things on Paxton Boulevard. And when we were collecting supplies and bottled waters for our community fun day, they were one of the drop-off spots.
Wow.
Had a garage full of bottled waters because when people would come, to partake in, what was going on there on Thursdays, they would bring bottled waters with them.
Wow.
And so just people like that in the community, I don't think they really realize the impact that they're making, but they are. And I want to bring more people like that, into this work because I want our youth to see, the greatness that we have right here, the excellence that we have right here where you came from.
Right.
We came from the same parts.
Right.
And we figured it out.
Right.
Okay. And we were able to get past, all of our adversities, our shortcomings, things that we couldn't control, in our childhood. We were able to figure it out and move forward and be successful. And I want our youth to see those everyday people that's still out here grinding, hustling, doing all of that. And I want them to understand what you learned out in the streets is going to help you.
Right.
What I learned and what I went through in my experiences is who made me, the woman that I am today.
Right.
And I can relate to what some of these young men and young women are going through. I can relate because I've been there and I've done that.
Right.
But we also, instead of approaching them, with solutions and guidance so much, is just listen to them. They'll tell you what they want, what they need, and what's going on.
Right.
Listen to them. And I think that's the key in meeting them where they're at.
Hit me with your mental and behavioral health work that you do. Like, where'd that come from? How did you get involved with that part of the work?
Well, when I first got started with, doing the community work, and I kind of got started in the early 2000s, with the planning department. I was like the only person of color sitting in there on the planning department meetings, city council meetings. And I'm like, man, they plan in phases. Like, this is, what word am I thinking of when they come in and, oh my God, not redlining, but
gentrification.
Yeah, gentrification. So
right.
I was like, man, this is gentrification. And so I started, meeting with like the different neighborhood associations and saw that it was all older people. And I'm like, where my young people at? So we started doing things to get the younger people in, doing bike giveaways and computer giveaways. And as I started talking with them and trying to teach them about home ownership, and there's grants out there. If you own a home, you need new windows and things like that. We have funding for that. But as I started talking with them, I'm like, man, before I can even touch on this, we got to handle the basic needs. We have to address the mental and behavioral issues that our people have, and to work through some of the traumas, right. that we've experienced before we can get to that next level. And, so I started basically modeling my programming off of the hierarchy of needs, and that basic, that first level being basic needs. So before we can, attain self-actualization, we have to handle the basic needs. How can I tell you how to build generational wealth and talk about that when you worry about, like, how am I going to pay my rent?
Right.
How am I going to get my rent money? How am I going to, eat? And I'm a single parent, and the cost of living, is through the roof right now. For me to even have a 2-bedroom apartment, I got to pay $1,200 a month, and I'm only
Right.
one person,
Right.
and I have children.
Right.
So I got to work 2 jobs just to make sure the rent is paid because I'm not on Section 8.
Right.
And in the meantime, my children are unsupervised.
Right.
So what do you think is going to happen?
Right.
Crime,
Right.
which is going to induce trauma.
Right.
You know, things that happen, you know, in those areas where, you know, someone loses their life, someone goes to prison, you know, there's drugs involved. That all induces trauma. And that's something that we have to handle and face head on.
Right.
You know, and we have to remove the stigma in our community, you know, and make it okay and acceptable to get the help that you need.
Right.
And so that is when I really got serious about, you know, addressing, you know, our traumas and offering that, you know, mental and behavioral health. 2 of my stepchildren died by suicide.
Oh, wow.
And just everything surrounding that and finding out afterwards some of the things that they were going through and how they kept it bottled in because it seemed uncool to talk about it, or, you know, they just suppressed all of that and dealt with all of those demons and everything that they were going through just within themselves, you know, and we had no idea until it was too late. We have to normalize the conversation of getting help.
I like that.
You know, and so I'm definitely an advocate for mental and behavioral health. And like I said, I promote the family unit. And so you have parents that have suffered traumas and have pain and things that they have not overcome.
Mm-hmm.
And they're raising children. Well, they're transferring those traumas and that pain. And so you have to address it as a whole, holistically.
Right.
And so, you know, when I say I support the family unit, I'm going to work with the youth, but I can't work with the youth without working with the parents.
Right.
And with the parents, we have to address why you're in the situation you're in. And sometimes it's a hard conversation, but we have to be trusted enough to have that conversation with knowing flat out, my only intention is to bring you from this.
Right.
You know, how you say you can feed a man, but if you teach him how to fish, you know, I want to teach you how to fish.
Right.
I don't want to just keep bringing you scraps and calling it a meal. No, I want you to be self-sufficient, self-sustainable, you know, so that you can build on that foundation and then, you know, think about creating generational wealth, you know, for your family and so on.
Right.
But we have to start with the basic needs and mental health.
Yeah.
To overcome, you know, those things and those traumas that we've gone through.
Yeah.
So with North Omaha Community Partnership, we have a program called Bridge the Gap program, because right now, you know, especially with the pandemic hitting, we don't have enough mental behavioral health trained therapists and counselors to go around, and so it's backed up. You know, you call Charles Drew, One World, you know, what have you, it's backed up and you can't get an appointment, an initial appointment for the next 1 to 3 months.
What?
Yes. And so before the pandemic hit, it was like a month out. And
right.
Since the pandemic hit, it's like 3 months out for an initial visit.
For someone to speak with a counselor and begin the process.
Yeah. And so you have some organizations that work on a sliding fee scale once you do get in. With our program, there is no sliding fee scale. There is no cost to you at all. And so, you know, through our intake process, you know, if you need, you know, individual or group therapy, we match you up with a therapist. We work with interns that have obtained their degree, but they need to
get the practical hours in.
Yeah, get their hours in, you know, for their
That's
licensure.
Beautiful. Right.
And so they need that. So so there is no cost. Wow. So we're helping out that intern and also helping out the families, and it's bridging the gap, because if you feel like, you know, this is good, but I have an appointment, you know, in December, but my son needs some help now. Okay, well, we're going to set you up with this therapist, and they're going to, you know, work with him and your family. And then when you get your initial appointment, you can go ahead. But at least for now, you don't have to worry about submitting any insurance paperwork, anything like that. We're just offering you to help.
Now.
Yes,
Action.
right now, help to handle crisis situations. And, we get a phone call from a parent, my son is talking about harming himself, this and that. Okay, we have trained individuals that can come in, do, take care of the intake process, get you an appointment within 24 hours, with a therapist, for that support. So, and all of our, I won't say staff because no one's paid, but our volunteers are trained in a certification that we call mental health first aid. So, they're professionally trained on how to deal with crisis situations, how to evaluate, certain things and how to handle situations like that. And we offer that training free of charge to anyone in the community that works with our youth.
How do they engage you? Say somebody's listening right now and says, I need to be making that phone call, that connection tonight. Like, what do they do?
They can reach me on my Facebook page under Tamika Renee. We have our North Omaha Community Partnership Facebook page. They can reach us there, and our next class, I want to say our next class is the end of September. I don't want to say it's September 25th, but I'll have to double check that. But we will be, posting that. But our class holds about, 20 people. It is lengthy. It's a 6-hour class. You do 2 hours online before you come to the class, and then it's a 6-hour, all day class from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. We feed you breakfast, lunch, and snack, and we also give you a stipend for participating.
Wow.
So and you walk out with a 2-year certification that you can use for your CEUs, your credit hours.
Wow.
And just also with work.
What are the prereqs to being able to come to the class? Really?
Just as long as you work with youth in the community, we want to equip you. Provide you with the tools that are necessary to really be there
When's
for
the next
our youth.
Coming up?
It's in September. I'll send you that.
We'll share that.
Yeah. So we offer the class every other month.
Okay.
And like I said, there is no cost to the participants. Yeah, there is no cost to the participants, and we pay you a stipend for asking you for 6 hours of your time when you're already volunteering time to our youth.
Right.
So I don't want you to come in and pay for nothing. I want to pay you because I want to make sure our youth has, what they need out here in the community, because sometimes they don't have their parents that they can confide in. A lot of times they're confiding in their coaches or their dance instructors or mentors.
Right.
And then what do you do with that information?
Right.
You got to be able to handle it. So we want to, support in that aspect. We're really about rebuilding, uplifting, and empowering our community. That's that.
Well, I know I need to get a life and get something to do. I need to get my whole life together. You are part of an incredible partnership. I know when you're married, it's always a help and a give and take with one another. I mean, you're an incredible woman. I'm glad that I was able to learn more about you today. I'm glad everybody else was able to learn more about you. I have a lot more learning to do. I hope this isn't going to be our last conversation because
definitely not.
We haven't even touched on public school, what that means, the whole system, where it comes from,
right?
All the way back to the Reconstruction period, the purpose for which. We haven't talked about some of the concepts maybe that Elijah Muhammad introduced to the culture when it comes to self-reliance and those kind of things. We have to have the walk-off home run, something we discussed that you were very passionate about in our city in the last week and a half. There was some data that was shared as far as crime statistics and where we are in our local community as pertains to violent crime and why we are where we are, why and why nots, and you working on the front lines have a perspective that you shared about that. So we have a listenership that's all over the nation, and again, like we talked about earlier, everywhere I go, if I go to places where our people are in great mass: New York, Detroit, Chicago. Those cities in particular, some of the inner cities of Miami, they're surprised when they meet somebody black from Omaha, and they ask us what it's like. They're almost like they're black, but can I touch your hair? Even though we all the same color, same people. Like, what's it like being in Omaha? Is that corn, right? Corn and insurance and Omaha steaks and But we have violent crime here too. Like
a lot of
we on the spectrum when it comes to that, unfortunately. Especially when it comes to poverty and all of those kind of systemic consequences that come with oppression and redlining, disenfranchisement, all those things that typically follow that. But you had a unique perspective, and I wanted to get some more information. I wasn't able to read your Facebook post, but I hear it's locally viral. And catch me up on give me the, what they call it, the elevator version, whatever.
So, we've been having an definite uptick of shootings, just back to back, and it was addressed publicly by our police department, and they presented statistics comparing last year's shootings to what has occurred so far this year, as evidence that crime has gone down from last year. And this is my personal view. I feel like nothing that they have done has contributed to that. I feel like, there are larger organizations in the city that have youth programs, work with youth. They say they work with at-risk youth, and they have these programs in place, and they're showing these statistics and saying, what we're doing is making a difference. And really, I don't think so. I beg to differ. I think those organizations are playing it safe. They're not really working with the youth that are out here in trouble. They're basically working with youth that they feel like has potential, that have not really gotten into any trouble. And I feel like, we are just watching, our youth and young adults just fall by the wayside and fall through the cracks. And we're not saving them. We're not meeting them where they're at. I have a problem with that. There is more that we can do. It's going to take, I said in my post, it's going to take a lot more than prayer. We have to meet these young people where they're at. We have to, think outside the box to figure this out. Mothers have such an influence. I don't think my fellow mothers really understand the power that they have, with their children. And I see so many mothers that actually get on social media and argue back and forth between themselves behind what their sons are doing, and if you take that energy and really come together, let's meet. When we have meetings, I'm calling the parents, I'm calling the grandmas, and I want you to meet with me and your grandma and your mom and this person that you're beefing with, and let's really sit down and talk about this. Can you really look your grandma and your mom in the face and admit to them that you're ready to go out? You ready to go out like this? But really, our youth has reached a certain level of hopelessness. Okay, when these things happen, when they lose their homeboy, their friend, or whatever, their family member, they figure it's only a matter of time before I'm next. So you know what? I'm going to take as many out as I can before they get me. And unfortunately, that is their mentality right now, because they lack self-love. And when you lack self-love, you don't have regard for human life.
That's right.
If you don't have regard for your own life or love yourself, how can you expect for them to have regard for, yours or mine? So number one, we have to teach them that self-love, teach them that they are worth better than what they give them credit for, themselves credit for. We have to work through those traumas, address those basic needs, introduce them to something. Our everyday people who were out here, hustling in the streets, doing whatever, and they figured it out, and they got out of it.
Right.
You know, what are they doing now? You have some of them in construction. You definitely have entrepreneurs,
right,
you know, that were able to figure this out. You know, CDL driving is a big trend right now, but there's money in it.
Yeah.
You can call it a trend all you want to.
Yeah,
they
it's
getting
big
that money.
Yep. Yep.
You know,
even our sisters now start
right,
to drive.
exactly, and I'm loving it. You know, that's where the money is, in transport. So, you know, just introducing them to these different things, and it's like, let's get away from this and let's move towards this. And if you have to get out of that environment, you know, to do it, for you to think clearly, we got to start thinking outside of the box, you know, with these kids and with the youth. And I'm just like, when I sit back and really observe, you know, the actions of even some of the community leaders, how they say, oh, we're going to focus on, you know, the younger section of the youth. Well, what about our kids that are out of high school,
right,
that's age, you know, 19 to 24? What about them?
Right.
You know, and so I'm like, if y'all waiting on them to just kill themselves off, just say that.
Period.
Just say that.
Period.
Because it seemed like that's what y'all sitting back doing. Like, y'all have given up.
Right.
If y'all gave up, what you expect for them to do?
Right.
You know? Or, you know, you're too much on a high horse for you to meet them where they're at. You know?
Right.
And they'll tell you what they need and what they want. But I will tell you this, they can smell BS.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you don't come to them, you know, with a sincere heart,
right,
they will be able to point that out,
right,
and they'll shut it down.
Right.
You know, so you do have to come to them with a sincere heart.
Right. Or support whoever
Yeah.
they will
Right.
receive from.
Right. Exactly. And, you know, we just need to do more of that and stop playing it safe. And if you're going to play it safe, cool. But don't try to take credit.
Right.
You know,
Right.
don't try to take credit for, you know, what you know you haven't impacted.
Right.
You know, because it's like a domino effect, you know, in the streets. You may have last summer, they homeboys, you know, didn't get killed, or, you know, nobody shot at me, so I'm not going to shoot back. You
Right.
know, we don't have no beef this summer. It's not nothing that y'all did as
Right.
an organization. It's just, we not beefing right now.
Gotcha.
But here it is the next summer, something popped off. Really badly, something popped off.
Right.
And somebody got killed.
Right.
And, you know, with this particular situation, the parents knew about it. And when you condone certain things,
Right.
you're a part of the problem.
Right.
You know, just putting it lightly.
Right.
You know, you can't condone it.
Right.
No parts of it.
Right.
Because if once you do, you're opening up the doors for things to happen, and you have to accept the consequence. You know, so if you're gonna condone your child living that lifestyle,
Right.
get your money up.
Got you.
Get your life insurance policies in order.
Wow.
And that's the realness of it.
Right.
That's the realness of it. Tell them, why you spending this and that, put a retainer fee up. Save up for your lawyer fees. Because a public defender going to send you up the river, okay? Like, really enlighten them on that. Enlighten them on, once you go to prison, it ain't what you think it's going to be.
Right.
Let's talk to, you know, some of the guys, like my husband did 10 years.
Right.
You know,
Right.
A lot of people around me seem like 10 is that magic number.
Right.
And they can tell you what it's like on the inside, and how your homeboys forget about you,
Right.
how your girlfriend forget about you and move on with their life and leave you there
With your
doing that.
homeboys.
Yeah, exactly. And leave you there doing that time alone.
Right.
Okay? That's the realness of it. And we need to expose these truths to these young men. Give them fair warning. You know, they just seeing the good side of it. You know, I've heard the game been good to me. It ain't going to be good for so long. Because I can tell you now, everything that I had, that I've obtained with fast money, is gone. I have nothing at all to show for that. Nothing. Lost everything.
Wow.
But everything that I attained, once I did it the right way, I have it.
Wow.
I'm from 40th Ave.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm from a single parent household.
Right.
I'm from teenage parents.
Right.
Okay, that was in the hood growing up right with me.
Right.
Okay, but I was able to figure it out. My children didn't grow up in the hood. My children grew up in the suburbs.
Right.
Okay, put my daughter through college, UNL. You know, I figured it out, and you can too. But you got to start with self. You have to love on yourself first before you can love and respect anyone else. And you have to value yourself.
Right.
Know that you're worth more. And just us as a people, we have to depend on each other.
Yeah.
Stop fighting each other, going back and forth. And that's what's so important with me with when it comes to unity with other organizations that are out here doing the work. If we can tell the community we need unity in our community and everybody need to work together and get along, but if they're not seeing it from us,
right,
the so-called leaders,
right,
who are we to tell them to do it? We have to lead by example. Lead by example, show unity, genuine unity, authentic unity, and let's work together and let's build our community and let's take it back. You got so many nonprofit organizations that capitalize off of our struggles.
Right.
And they bank on it, like literally bank on it.
In federal, state money.
Yes.
Charitable dollars from all across the nation.
Yes.
To hundreds of thousands, $1 million.
Yes. So
budgets.
if you become self-sufficient, they don't have a job.
Police either.
Yeah, they don't want you to become self-sufficient.
Right.
And they building so many prisons because they getting paid, close to $100,000 per inmate.
Right.
It makes money for them.
Right.
So it makes sense to them that they build more prisons.
Yeah.
But that they don't invest in, mental and behavioral health and, other programs to uplift the people. They don't want that. That's not going to make them any money. So we have to stop accepting outsiders to come in and change things for us. We have to understand and know that we have the power and we have the knowledge and the know-how to do it ourselves. We just have to get up and do it. And that's it. And that's what I'm in the business of doing.
I want to say thank you, not just for coming, but thank you for the work that you've done. Thank you for the work that you're doing, the work you're going to do. Thank you for sharing your bought lessons, because the strength, the knowledge, the wisdom, the application, you paid for this with your own blood, sweat, and tears. This don't come from no book.
Right.
This come from life experience. And you don't have to share it, but you do. I thank you for it. And when you talk to God, mention me. In them times, special times I get to talk to God, I'll mention you.
Thank you.
And please keep doing what you're doing. We just speak encouragement to you. We know what it feels like. I think with every positive thing we do that has a positive impact, we're winning.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a lost cause. We're getting W's out here. Right. You're getting W's. Thank you for the W's. Thank you for your work with everyone. We can't wait to see what you have coming up. We're going to push it. And I hope you bring back a quarterly love fest or something where we just come together as families.
Yeah.
And the music is playing and the grills are going and everybody power on.
Yeah.
But we just need to be around each other and just love on each other. And we need to see who's who and see other parents and our kids see each other. Like, this is love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
I think we need some family reunions.
Yeah.
Because we family.
Yeah. And we all related somewhere down
some
the
kind
line.
of way.
Omaha, so small. Yeah.
Some kind of way.
Yeah.
And thank you for your time.
Yeah.
I mean,
thank you for having me.
That we can't get back. And I know how precious time is for everybody, especially these days.
Yeah.
Listen, y'all, it's been a community conversation at AOS Live from Omaha, Nebraska. I wasn't your host tonight. I was your moderator at best, Gary Ballard. We thank God for the life and the passion and the heart of Mrs. Tamika Mease. Do you want to give your maiden name some shout out? Because your family.
Valentine.
All right.
Is my maiden name.
They be like, wait a minute, it's us too. So
yeah.
Shout out to Valentine. Now some names are going through my head. I won't say on air. Now I got a couple more questions I'll say for off air. Thank y'all for listening. Here in Omaha, all of our cities of love, Detroit and Cali and Sacramento and Chicago and the suburbs, everywhere. Thank y'all for listening. We couldn't open the phone lines tonight because I'm long-winded, and that's how it goes. But soon, listen, right here on Clubhouse, you're going to see us open up a room. We're going to go live as soon as we log off, and y'all can speak amongst yourselves. Have a conversation. Don't let anybody be in that room by themselves. Talk to them about the things you heard tonight. Wherever you are in the country, get active. If you're here in Omaha, participate. The say it again.
North Omaha Community Partnership.
North Omaha Community Partnership. Follow on all the social media platforms right now. And when you see them get active, support, pull up, drop it off, get out the car. Whatever you can do it. And it's happening with or without us. Let's be a part of the solution and not the problem. Love everybody. We love you. God bless you. And till next time.